Hello, thank you for joining me. Today is January 9th, 2025. It is approximately 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be doing this full moon review using the Lynchburg, Virginia Eastern Standard Time. So what I want to do today with this full moon in Cancer is take a look at something called the nakshatras. And this is out of a Jyotish Vedic type of astrology. If you haven't looked into that, it's not Western, of course, it's Eastern. And in this line of astrology, they look to what's called the lunar mansions. And the lunar mansions are called nakshatras. And they're found in your moon sign, of course. And there's 27 constellations that are ruled by planets, and in Jyotish, they're called the nakshatras. So nakshatras provide for us a deeper look into our mind and our future. The nakshatras give a detailed analysis on how our lives will be in all aspects. The nakshatras are very poignant. The moon was very much highlighted in these other traditions, is much more stronger than it's represented in the Western astrology. And I think that it's important to also take a look at how the moon has evolved from the early times. We only had two feminine archetypes, Venus and the moon, and Venus was the maiden and the moon was the mother. So it was a very limited understanding of the way that the feminine expresses herself. And now, of course, with the evolution of all these asteroids coming out in the early 19th century, and how we saw Ceres, Juno, Pallas, and Vesta come forward and speak in much deeper terms. And of course, we also have seen Lilith in all of her various forms that she takes place. So I feel like in my studies so far of astrology that these really do have a definite place. And as I've studied my own chart and looked where my moon is and my nakshatra, I have found some incredible connections that I couldn't quite put my finger on before looking at this specifically. So the way that we find these nakshatras is they're broken down into degrees, and they're broken down into 13.20 degrees of separation. So how this works is the first nakshatra, Ashvini, is 0 to 13.20 degrees Aries, because Aries is the first house, Aries is the first sign, it starts with Aries. This afternoon, we have a almost 24 degree Cancer moon. So that nakshatra would be in the 9th nakshatra called Ashlesha. Basically, it's Ashlesha. Ashlesha. Now, this particular nakshatra starts at the degree of Cancer 16.4 to the 30 degree of Cancer. So I want to talk about this nakshatra a little bit, because I really felt once I got into this chart and started looking at the signatures, I really saw how this came into very strong play. And I want to credit the internet for some of this information. I did go to various websites. I went to some of the information that I had collected through the years in Vedic astrology. So not all of this is mine, but this is a synopsis pretty much of an overview of what I've collected. So Ashleya is the 9th nakshatra in the Vedic astrology system, and it's known as the serpent or Naga nakshatra, and it's a symbol of a coiled serpent. So a coiled serpent, as we know in symbology, several things. The snake sheds its skin. The snake is on its belly on the ground, so very much connected to the earth at all times. We also see the snake coiled is ready. When a snake is coiled, it's ready to pounce. It's ready to strike. In fact, One false move and you could be dead. So the presiding deity of Ashla is Nagas, the serpent gods, who are associated with healing, transformation, and spiritual growth. So I find this nakshatra very much tied to Pluto. Definitely. People born under Ashla are known for their intuitive and emotional nature. So we already have the moon in its domicile, meaning the sign that is ruled by the moon, or the moon ruling the sign, is Cancer. So it's in its domicile and its home. So we have extra power when the moon is in its own lord. It's already intuitive on its own. Cancer, extremely intuitive sign. Highly cardinal waters that are highly connecting to that which is moving forward, and to that which wants to innovate, and to that which wants to connect outside of itself in a very powerful way. Water is extremely powerful. So we have then the double expression, and then with it being under this nakshatra, being highly sensitive and intuitive, this is a highly tuned in moon that could be deadly if it doesn't manage all that power and all those feelings and all that knowledge and all that sight. The ability here is to be able to see very, very clearly what is going on, and if necessary, make a move. So a moon like this is known for intuition, emotive nature, highly sensitive, like I said, a strong connection to subconscious mind and other possible psychic abilities, which would be clairaudience, clairsentient, clairvoyance, those. And this moon is going to connect to those that are connected to mystical and spiritual paths. And it's tied into the occult. So Ashley really is bringing in Scorpio now, really bringing in that 8th house. Pluto ruling the 8th house. Pluto is the lord over Scorpio. Scorpio and Cancer is said to be sister signs. Both have shells. Both have pinchers. Both have the ability to harm with their hands. This is a moon that is tuned to medicine and psychology and spirituality, but also a highly intense moon. If you were born under this type of moon, for instance, this will really apply to you. This is the energy that this moon is bringing in. And this is just the moon I'm talking about. We haven't gotten to the rest of the chart. In the lower vibration here, and we may see a tendency for that because of what's going on in the chart. This can be emotional turmoil, anxieties, really struggling, guys, with negative thought patterns and a negative viewpoint, because this energy is all connected down to our lower centers here, that has the ability, when mastered, if you know anything about the root chakra and going up through your chakras and the kundalini energy, once it's balanced, it can move, right? Once we have it in a position of power, so to speak, the chakras can be utilized. But this is a battle with this moon. We've got a lot of conversations in deeper layers with this moon, because we've had this whole situation with Cancer and Capricorn going on for far too long. And this is, for me, as if you've listened to anything I've said on those that follow me of Cancer and Capricorn, you're going to know that I had said it's ending in 2024. We're coming to a closure. Yes, but this is the residual, guys. This is the last part of it, because I find it very ironic that we had this whole Capricorn experience since 2000 and 8 with Capricorn and Pluto moving into Aquarius last year in March, finally ingressing there, going retro for a while, but coming back in and staying where it's going to be for the next 22 years. Capricorn was opposite Cancer. We always need to take into consideration these polarities. And now with this being a Cancer moon, the opposite again is Capricorn. But this is not the new moon in Capricorn we had at the beginning. No, of this month. Look at that video and what that was about. I did a video on that. Now look at this video. Listen to the messages here and compare. This is the end, guys. Cancers, Capricorns, please sit up a little straighter. I'm telling you, this is the end. This is the end of a huge, long, for some of you, as much as 18-year transit that you've been going through with these themes of the 10th and the 4th, and any other angles that were hitting in your chart that's specific to you would have been, yes, a general story, but then a more specific story. And it tells a story of how you've been evolving and how you've been growing. Getting back to this nakshatra, Ashla, the tree associated is the Arca tree. It's a Calotropis Gigantea, Calotropis gigantea, which is also known for its medicinal properties. How about this? So it's calling us in this nakshatra, I believe, to really, with it being in the moon already intuitive, look, we hold the answers. We hold the answers deep within us. We know the way. We know the path. We know the way to mother ourselves in this situation. The moon is home. We know how to tap in to our intuitive and psychic energy regarding the situation. We know to be emotionally sensitive, but not oversensitive. We know that this is about healing and transformation. Therefore, it's asking, what do you need to shed? This is a full moon. Full moons are a time of release. This is a time of potential. It can be a time of newness because we are letting go. And when we let go, we can bring something in. So I see full moons as highly, highly potent and highly full of potential. There can be, with full moons, as we're releasing and letting go, this space in between of uncertainty and chaos even. And depending on the planets and the angles involved, it can also mean something beneficial, like the big passing of a test here. And there's a reason I say this when we look at the chart, or giving birth to something you've been waiting to birth. Full moons, remember, are release, yes, but we're releasing to receive, because now we have emptied. And we finish this cycle with the new moon in Capricorn, the full moon in Cancer. When we go into February, you will see Cancer and Capricorn, depending on the rest of your chart, of course, have a reprieve in the areas that they've been going through. And there will be a newness and an understanding and an intuitive momentum that will have come from this moon. So highly powerful and healing type of moon. And it's multifaceted energy here, and it can bring out great gifts as well as challenges. So we're being asked to cultivate spiritually here. There's no doubt about it. We're being asked perhaps to let go of what we held on to that we thought was the best way. We thought we knew. And no, you can't take that into 2025. That should have been shed. Those things should have been done now. Real quickly, I want to start with where the moon is and just show you that up front, and also show you where the outer planets are. Because I think it's important to see what's going on with the 3 outer planets in the generational cultural energies of what they're trying to do and what they have been accomplishing. So, first of all, we have Uranus at 23 degrees. Uranus in Taurus has been dealing with our money, financial dealings, where we're fixed and perhaps need to change and shift. So there would have been in a lot of Taurus's life, or wherever you have Taurus, a lot of shakeups. A lot of shakeups, because Taurus wants to be fixed earth and have things stay in a very steady manner. They get their security from that. It helps them. Their surroundings need to be a certain way. And when you put Uranus, the planet of shock, awe, and change, inside of Taurus, this isn't very fun. And so we've been seeing this consequently generationally now. Taurus takes 7 years to go through a sign. So this generation, this 10 years that we've had, well, this is what they've seen, and this is babies that have been born into this energy, and this is what we've been experiencing. Now, Uranus is trining our sun, which is opposite that moon. The sun in Capricorn at 23 degrees. This is an exact almost trine. It's off by a few minutes, but this is a largely beneficial to the nature of Jupiter trine 120 degree angle. With this aspect, with the sun being our conscious will energy, Uranus being shock and awe and innovation, high innovation on Earth with Uranus in an Earth sign, this is really an opening energy for contemporary and progressive energies to come in ways that we have not seen before. It's ushering in modern technology and science in a very harmonious way. If you sense that you're meant to, under this moon, like, man, I don't know if I should take that change, but it's been gnawing at you and you're like, I just don't know. I want to tell you, it's a great time to do that. It's a great time to go out in your Uranus, go out in your rebel, go out in your differentness, go out in how you came into this planet. And don't hold back. Just make sure that when you do come out, you do it in that way that is going to honor yourself, honor others, and honor the Hermetic laws that we are under, the 7 laws that we are under, basically, the law of science and nature, I would say, the way things operate here. And if you're in balance with those, and you're honoring it, go for it. This is powerful energy, potent energy. We haven't talked about it, but we will in a little minute. But it's also trining the south node in Virgo. The nodes have changed. We'll go into that. But it's trining the south node on the 4th house cusp. And that is letting us know, okay, what are we in harmony with to move away from concerning the south node in Virgo, concerning it on the 29 degree cusp of the 4th house. Oh my. This is some energy at 29 degrees that is done. Okay. We are as done as could be. And it is full and it is potent. Now, the nodes move backwards in the chart, which means their normal way of moving is to start out high and to go low, whereas all the other planets start low and go high. So it can be kind of confusing. This is not a video on the nodes. I'm not going to explain them. Please do that on your own, just so you can understand they are an important mark, that mathematical point that astronomers use to map various areas of the sky, as well as astrology. It ties into a soul path and like a northern point of areas that you need to look at and areas that perhaps you need to move away from or implement the energies in a more harmonious way than you did before. That's it in a nutshell. So we've had the nodes move, which means we have been in an Aries and Libra nodes for a very long time. And so from 00 Aries, the next point is 29 degrees of Virgo. And so as of this full moon, we've got a brand new 29 degree node that has not been here for quite some time. And our north node now is in Pisces. So for the next 18 months or so, Virgo and Pisces signs are going to be highlighted a little bit here, with Virgo asking, what do I need to move away from in a big way or adjust my energies towards that fourth house cusp, which of course is home, because it's sitting right on that fourth house cusp. The nodes go retrograde pretty often, so I don't pay a lot of attention to it. But as of this reading, it is in retrograde. So that means it's going to go back into Aries, as you can see, because it's going to move forward. And it's very confusing because the nodes move backward in regular motion. So when they're in retrograde, they're moving forward, which means we dipped into this south node, north node, and now we're going to go back in to Aries again for a relook at how you do your Libra energies. Libra and Aries energies are closing out for 2025. The full moon Capricorn lessons are closing out for 2025. And we're moving into new energies, guys. New energies. In fact, we're going to see Pluto's already in air. We've talked about it moving into Aquarius. We're going to see Neptune moving into Aries, which is fire, and we're going to see Uranus moving into Gemini, which is air. So we're moving from this top-down yin feminine, holding on to expressions of energy on this planet. And it's been a time to go in and to heal and to address. And now, those of us that have been on that path and doing that work, and doing the healing work and been on that path, we're now being called to a different momentum with that energy. And for you to know how that is, you got to look at your own chart. You got to see the transits. You got to see where these big three are, where they're hitting, what houses, what angles are being hit besides those houses. And are there any planets there? And are there any asteroids there? And things that we look at when we examine a chart. So these energies moving out, like I said, into fire and air, it's going to be a completely different expression of the energies that we've had. And I want you to understand, these are going to be very, very fast energies. We're going to see changes popping off so fast. I need you guys to hear that it's really important to stay grounded. I cannot emphasize that enough. I want you to cut back. This is a psychological tip here for you, okay? A mindfulness tip for you. Make your world smaller while we adjust to these energies. Cut out the fluff. Don't overexert yourself. Don't do a lot more than you know you can handle. And be drama-free. And don't be like paranoid about things and hypervigilant. No. But keep your intuitive natures intact. Keep them centered. Keep them clean. Keep them open. Keep them in a balanced state. Because those that have done the work and then stay grounded and keep in this balanced state and honor all the other areas, opportunities will be opening. And they're going to be opening quickly once we adjust. I would say this energy of adjustment is going to take 18 months to 2 years. That's my personal call, because it isn't until that time that all of these energies have then ingressed and kind of nestled in real deep and hard, with the exception of Pluto. Pluto's already at a degree. It's moving in. It's going to get strong quick. But Uranus and Neptune are going to take a little longer. And Uranus, being in Taurus, is going to have to now take all of that lesson that it learned about money and finances and Earth and Venus and security and value and where you find it, and be able to use it, because it's all been revamped. And when you look at air and you look at Gemini, you look at third house and you look at Mercury. And so a lot of collaborative opportunities, a lot of communication, a lot of merchant exchange is going to be going on. Uranus is innovative. It's the higher octave of Mercury. It is the internet. It is the super internet highway. It is the outer world, the upper world of the Skynet, of Aquarius, in all things revolutionary, in all things that need to change. And so we're going to see a lot of communication we've perhaps not heard before, because everyone's been doing their work and now they're going to come out with these messages. Let me say also, Uranus takes 84 years to go around the zodiac wheel, so it's a long transit. It spends about 7 years in each sign. So when we have this occurrence of Uranus transgressing into Gemini in 2025 here, this is going to be there for 7 years. So previous transits of Uranus and Gemini have seen all kinds of revolutionary advances in technology and transportation, which is both ruled by Gemini. And Gemini in that third house, like I said, ruled by Mercury, rules neighborhoods and communities. So in the post-war United States, and this is taken from Astrology Transits, the Beginner's Guide to Using Planetary Cycles to Plan and Predict Your Day, Week, Year, or Destiny by April. Elliot cannot recommend this book enough. I do not own this information. But she says here, under transiting Uranus and Gemini, from 1941 to 48, the United States in the post-war, we had this emergence of suburbs, and it created an automobile culture. Now, what happened here is it disrupted existing communities, which led to a more isolated and fragmented society. So Gemini is one of the signs associated with the mind and radical ideas that can prosper, while Uranus is in transit here in ways of communication. So that is from 2025 to 2032. All right. Neptune. Neptune has been in Pisces, and Neptune is going to go into Aries. Neptune takes 165 years to go around the entire zodiac, so it spends 14 years in each sign. So we have had Pisces inside of Neptune for a very long time. The keywords for Neptune are spirituality, compassion, unconditional love, empathy, art, psychic sensitivity, illness, and loss. The last time we had Neptune in Aries, it was 1861 to 1875. Now, if you recall, I did some research here on, the spiritualist movement basically in the United States. Like, when did we, start doing the Ouija board and seances here? And like, how did all that start? And we had a huge movement. I encourage you to look at it. It was in the middle of the 19th century. But in 1848, in a New York farmhouse, the Fox sisters held their first seance. And I'll let you look into the Fox sisters and that seance. But it really launched this huge, with Neptune here in Aries, it was this cardinal expressive fire energy that wanted to go out and alchemize. Fire is highly creative energy. It's powerful in alchemy, and that it's able to change the form of one thing to another. So she says here, transiting Neptune in Aries, 1861 to 1875. The dream of Neptune in Aries is that an individual or perhaps a nation can save the world. But with so much emphasis on the individual, territorialism can damage humanity's innate tendency toward building societies and working together. So there can be diluted thinking, lacking balance and insight. And Neptune in Aries leaves someone reaching for weapons to solve problems. Okay, so somebody who, y'all, this is like Hitler 101. This is like somebody who like dreams that they're this world leader and has these imaginary delusions and illusions about it, and goes out in his cardinal fire and just says, I am the way. It's kind of like a savior complex, like she alluded to. So we can really see disillusionment for Aries at this time, and I would dare say all the cardinal signs. So it's something that we need to be aware of. I have Neptune in the first house, so I know this energy really, really well. And it's in Aries house, but it's in Scorpio. Still, Mars runs the first house. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. Neptune's Pisces rules Neptune. In my fifth house, I have Chiron, the first and the fifth trine. So I was able to see this. I was able to see how I had been deceived as a child, and able to see how I was deceived growing up after the abuse. And I was able to do my psychology on it. My chart shows that I have deep challenges, but that I will recover if I work with the energies in the balanced way. I have these trines that point to that for me. So I really get Neptune in the first. I get Neptune in Aries. And I just want to say, watch out, guys. Here's a warning. As Neptune goes into Aries, 2025 to 2039. We got 14 years of this, guys. And I want to tell you, by the 8th or 9th year, we are going to see a lot of what we believed. Seriously, our spiritualism will have been molded and shaped by key leaders. Absolutely. And good people who've done their shadow work and done their hard work and stayed balanced and came into this world with their gifts and used them well, like, they are going to shine. They have an opportunity here to shine. Again, we've got this trining energy of the Uranus South Node to the sun, but then it's sextiling. Okay, we've got sextiles from Uranus to Neptune, and Neptune over to the sun and that 7th house. So we have these energies wanting to work together, and it's pointing to, hey, there's changes coming. Get ready. Pluto, I think you guys already know about Pluto, but I'll go quick. Pluto is now 1 degree in Aquarius. Pluto takes 248 years to go around that zodiac. So wherever Pluto is, it's going to be there 14 to 30 years. Pluto has an elliptical orbit. And in my description box, I do a podcast with a guy named Anthony. We went over the planets. And if you would like to take a look at that, I'll just put them in the description of these planets where we went into them a little deeper. So 14 to 30 years in a sign. And what we can expect here with Pluto in Aquarius, again, last time we had Pluto in Aquarius, we had a Revolutionary War. 1778 to 1798 was the last time we had Pluto in Aquarius. It'll be here until 2044. So the last planet of Pluto corresponded with the War for American Independence. It established the Republic, and the era ended with the French Revolution. It seems likely that the next Pluto in Aquarius transit will find nations in rebellion and transition as well. All right, so what can we expect? Guys, we can expect a lot of change. We can expect a lot of technological, because Uranus rules Aquarius. So does Saturn. Saturn is going to keep us there in these energies and have us focus on them so that we can put them into some kind of structure to then be of service, to then put it down on the earth. We're going to go to the highest of the high to get it, Saturn to help you get there, but then it wants to be put down on the earth. This is practical. At the end of the day, when we bring Saturn in, we must bring in practicality. Also, it's going to show us, I think we're going to be able to see more boundaries that we haven't seen before, supposed boundaries in space, supposed boundaries in technological advancement, things that we haven't seen. I think the boundaries are going to be begun to come down. The next Pluto in Aquarius will find nations in rebellion and transition, she says. After the Pluto in Capricorn transit, seemingly destined to deconstruct existing societal structures, it will be time to reinvent society and nations. What an amazing time to be alive. I'm super excited about this because, well, I'm a Plutonian. I have a Scorpio ascendant, so Pluto is my chart ruler along with Mars. So I'm here for the game, and I'm here for the change, and I'm here to be a part of it in the way that I came in and with my gifts and my talents. And, where I'm at in my age, that reminds me, I want to bring this in. Remember when we're talking about astrology and we're sharing a chart, that where you're at in your age is really important, because if this is a conversation to someone who's younger, you've not even lived that much life yet, and you've not had all these experiences. And so some of what I say may be really new to you, but others who have had these relationships and had these experiences and had these times of growth with the self and evolvement and moving into a more spiritual place of acceptance, so to speak, of what we really are here. Those individuals, when they hear the messages, they're going to hit a little bit different. Some of these you've already been through, but some of them you're like, yep, that's exactly where I've been, and now I know what I need to do. So your age really matters. And I find that sometimes when I go to my mentors in astrology that I like to follow, maybe they'll give a message and it's like, hey, I'm 61. And it's like, that just doesn't even apply to me, right? Like, those are some things that I have balanced in my life now that, maybe 10 years ago that would have hit me, but not now. So it's really important to understand where you're at in your cycle. I wanted to bring that in. And especially if you're getting help from an astrologer, make sure that they, have a clearer picture of that. That'll really go a long way. All right, so let's take a look at this moon. And I'm going to hit what's called the Sabian symbol. I did the Nakshatra, which we went in with, great detail. But I'm going to do what's called the Sabian symbol. And I'm not going to go into a great detail here with this, but Marc Edmunds is responsible for the Sabian symbols. And he lived from 1888 to 1890. And he was an American writer, screenwriter, and astrologer. So he's from St. Louis, Missouri. And I'm going off Wikipedia here to make this quick. But he grew up in Chicago and was surrounded by a lot of Christian Science and an aunt who introduced him into theosophy. So this began his interest in astrology and into occult principles, an interest in spiritualism. This guy really sounds like me, man. Like, I could totally relate to this guy. But he wrote a lot, had a lot of books, and one of the things he created with the assistance of a clairvoyant, Elsie Wheeler, in 1925, consequently in 1953 publishing what he had done with her, The Sabian Symbols in Astrology. What this is a book that renders a specific symbol and interpretive character for each of the 360 degrees of the zodiac that are found on the astronomical ecliptic. ecliptic, excuse me. So basically, she channeled, this clairvoyant channeled what that degree meant, and then together they constructed the Sabian symbols. So whenever I read the Sabian symbols, you have to consider 1925 when they were written. You have to consider the vessel. You also have to consider the later works that individuals have done on the Sabian symbols. And one of those is who I use, which is second edition by Martin Goldsmith, The Zodiac by Degrees. And it's the revised Sabian symbols. And that is what I'm using today. So that's just a little bit of background. But the Goldsmith revised Sabian symbol for the 24th degree of Cancer. Now, also, yes, we have a 23 degree, 59 minutes moon, but we always ramp up. This is what we do with the Goldsmith and the revised Sabian symbols. After a shipwreck, a man and a woman are setting up camp. A third survivor appears, an expert woodsman who begins to tell them the best way to proceed. The Swiss family Robinson, sizing up a difficult new situation and meeting its needs. Self-reliance, working with what you've got. Figuring out which rules are necessary to the survival of the tribe and enforcing them, including the active hunt for food, the sharing of assets and talents, and the sacrifice of personal agendas to group goals. Sexual intrigues undermine group solidarity, bringing undercurrents of primitive sexuality and aggression to light to lessen their power. Reading people accurately is a survival skill. Integrating an unwelcome person into an established scene in seeing what they can bring to the table. The formation of families of unrelated people. Seductive cultural offerings aimed at educating the public. Romanticism based on innocent, Edenic responses to others. Okay, there's a lot there. But I think that it does really bring out the theme that, okay, we've had carnage. We've had some kind of a shipwreck with this moon. There's something in need of repair. And it looks like there is some wisdom to be found in the woodsman who is there, who has lived there. A third survivor appears, an expert woodsman, I should say. Doesn't live there, my bad. But he survives this wreck, and he happens to know how to proceed. So, to me, this speaks of the group and people gathering around in groups and learning from one another and people relying on people in the group, so to speak, to have, it says, necessary for the survival of the tribe, to have the skill. So this is, obviously, if this is happening, and we know that there's a need for survival here, it sounds, then perhaps this moon is letting us know that what's gone on and what's going to take place is going to require us to work together. There's a very communal type of Sabian symbol. It also brings in, I thought, which was interesting, these sexual intrigues and how that can cause a problem in your groups. So, that's just something to consider. And the way that they are dealt with, it says, an aggression to light, bring the sexuality and aggression to light to lessen their power. So you see, when we expose, when we put a spotlight, when we bring things out of the dark, when we turn on the lights, that's when we can see things that we need to be dealt with. So it also alludes that there's been some things hidden in the background, perhaps. And I don't know who this would apply to, but if you're a leader in a group, maybe this applies to you somehow, some way in your group, and it's just something to be concerned about. or not really concern, but more something to notice, I should say. I love how it says the formation of families of unrelated people. So, this is really in tune with where that Uranus is going, the Neptune is going, and where the Pluto is. This is moving into we the people energies. And something I want you to notice very, very heavily is all of the planets that I just mentioned, the 3 outer planets. Those planets are all in the day part of the chart. You see this? The 8th, the 9th, and the 11th, all sextiling each other in harmony, working together for the good, okay? And sextiles have the nature of Venus, and they're 60 degrees apart, and sextiles are complementary energy, and they're creative energy exchange, which means if they get together and they work, there can be immediate results, things that can just pop and just happen. So important to see that. Very important to see that. And I apologize. That's sextile. The midheaven is sextiling over there to the 8th. Neptune is in Pisces, hugging that midheaven. Okay, and Pisces doesn't get along with Aquarius Pluto. But once it reaches that midheaven, it's going to hit the 8th house it's going to hit the 8th house cusp. And once it reaches that midheaven, it's going to go into Aries. And Aries is fire. So we have an Aries midheaven already. And Aquarius is air, and fire and air are combustible. And fire and air are considered harmonic energies within astrology. At least they're elements that are harmonious in that aspect of those signs flow together. Okay, so with it being Neptune hugging, we can say that it's starting to feel those energies of Aries. It's burning away Neptune's shell because, boy, we're going into 28 real quick, and then we're going to be in 29, and it's all done. So in essence, the energies they're commanding a sextile that want to take place, that are inching. So Pluto and Aries and Aquarius, they're there, and Neptune are all going to be in harmony here. And then we're going to have Aries conjunct that Gemini and Taurus, which is going to be in, sextile, which is going to be in harmony. So we have to see, we're not there yet, guys. It's coming, but we're not there yet. Also, I want you to notice that sitting next to this moon is Mars, and we do need to talk about that. We have Mars at 27 degrees in retrograde in Cancer, and that's another main theme that's been happening. We're going to have Mars for 7 months almost in and out. It was in and out of Leo and Cancer. And so this is an exceptionally long transit, especially as it goes back into Cancer here. And so it's in retrograde now, which means it's going backwards. Mars doesn't really like that. And the moon is at 23 degrees going forward. And in between there is that sensitive point of the ascendant, where it's the physical body. Okay, so here's a word of caution. Cancers: sharp instruments, water, boiling water, burns, fires that you put out and they start up again, simmering things in the physical body, a lot of stirring and simmering within, hot waters within Cancer. Not good, guys. We need to calm those jets. We need to cool it. We need to bring that down. And we need to perhaps look at the polarity over there of others, which is the 7th house, which is Capricorn. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is up there in the 9th, trining that 1st house in Pisces, asking us to show some restraint, asking us, hey, look, I need you to see Neptune, Pisces, sitting right next to it. I need you to see the bigger picture here. I need you to let this energy pass. I need you to let these things settle in. I need you to let these energies just, just let them calm the fuck down. Just let them calm down. There is an earthing that is being required of us as never before. I see this so clearly. And so my word to you on this moon is grounding. Grounding and ending of maternal, Cancer, home, career, 10th house, mothering, nurturing. Where we're seen in public is the 10th house as well, opposite the 4th of home. That there's some major themes that are wanting to close here. Also, I want to bring out the nodes here. Very important. I want to close with this. The North Node has been in Aries and the South Node has been in Libra. And now the nodes are inching into Virgo and Pisces. They're going to go back and then they're going to go forward again. But what can we expect with a North Node inside of Pisces? Well, our North Node is our sense of where we should be pointing, what we should be looking at. So collectively, with the North Node going into Pisces, we are definitely being asked to look at our Neptune, and we are definitely being asked to look at our spirituality. So Pisces North Node is going to begin to move us collectively into a place where our values, what we love, I would have to say, where we set our spiritual compass, and where we want to have tenderness and compassion, and form gentle relationships with one another. And perhaps it not being such an forceful as Aries was, a forceful and demonstrative and extroverted way of being with one another, but more of a flow and more of an acceptance with one another. And Neptune brings in wanting to go to the highest of the highest of the high. With Neptune ruling this North Node, this is going to allow us to perhaps look at the way that we've done spirituality in a way that we haven't looked at it in quite some time. With Neptune going into Aries and then the North Node being ruled by Neptune, we have to understand that this is going to be a very personal, collectively movement. Like everyone's going to be moving towards this spiritual plane in one way, shape, form, or another. Something to be concerned with here. When we have, wherever we have Neptune, we can have fog, okay? We can have just a lot of high mysticism to the point where it's just too far out there. And the spiritual and the religious ecstasy experiences can just be like furthermore exasperated with intoxicants and drugs and mixing them. And I think we're going to see a lot of spirituality and religious ecstasy and spiritual experiences with intoxicants. I think that that's something that people are going to try things they didn't do before. Maybe Awasaka is going to have, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I can never pronounce that right. But where you go to the jungles, you don't have to go there, but you can, and you take this route mixed with another route. And that's been calling to me for a while to go experience that. But yeah, where people are willing to be like, all right, I'm willing to see what else is out there by allowing my mind to be taken way out there. And so people, consequently, what is the opposite is Virgo, right? The South Node's in Virgo. And Virgo doesn't, is probably not too concerned about going too high out there. Virgo is a very practical sign. And it isn't really interested, especially with it hugging that fourth house, of looking at pie in the sky kind of ideas regarding its future. So what I want to do here is read the Sabian symbol for the 2937 degree of Pisces, which of course brings us into 00, which of course brings us into the 30th degree of Pisces. A national hero poses for a statue that will eventually be placed in a public park at the center of a maze of paths. Looking after one's public image or reputation, identify too closely with their mask and may feel imprisoned by it, can be easily slandered because outside of their image, they are very mysterious. Providing people with an ideal image that they can cherish and believe in. Crowning one's life with a major accomplishment that will live on after one's death. Accumulating positive rather than negative karma. Choosing the right path to reach one's goal versus going around in circles or making the same mistake over and over. Battle fatigue from an accumulation of negative experiences, need to break out of mental or behavioral ruts, being straight with God, even if that means taking a lot of twists and turns in one's career or one's relationships, turning a circular rut into an evolutionary spiral. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close. And there's a lot more there, of course, that's going on with this moon. But that is what I wanted to point out to you and just say, look for your 2359-minute degree of Cancer, wherever that is in your chart. And then that is going to be the focused area of this moon and where the releasing needs to take place. Also, let's be very careful. Mars is here. Mars will be slamming, yes. I say slamming because Mars is fighting. Mars is passion. Mars doesn't play. It's close contact. It's not the guy in the Air Force jet dropping bombs. It's hand-to-hand, face-to-face. Aries rules... Mars ruling Aries rules knives, sharp instruments. So yeah, opposite. Capricorn, ground. Ground the feelings. And Capricorn, perhaps tap into your feelings a little bit more. There's this yin and yang going on here of balance that is being asked for us. And with Mercury sitting in the 7th house inside of Capricorn, you will be very pragmatic about this. There's a practical outlook with a strong sense of reality here that can come in. A serious mindedness being asked for and caution. Be a realist, not just an idealist, okay? Understand that it takes practical steps and find out what those steps are and connect with the people and the places. Mercury's there with the sun in your conscious will, going towards that sun, moving and saying, look, I need you to be practical here. The answers are there and they're going to be held. If you look over to the 1st house, this is in the body where this moon is for the Lynchburg, Virginia area. So the answers are found within yourself. The answers are found within whatever Cancer represents in your chart, which would be the home, the mother, the nurturer, the cardinal water that will go out and take action. All right, guys, blessed be. Take care, and I wish you a very blessed full moon in Cancer.